So we have viewers from Otter Tail County and Granite Falls who want to talk about transportation and wondering what the status is of the transportation bill. A viewer from Otter Tail County is concerned about light rail mass transit. The viewer from Granite Falls is concerned about reports that the number of snowplow drivers is being cut. So I'm going to look to you, Representative Swedzinski, to start talking about the transportation bill. And if you have any observations about either of those two topics, that would be great.
Representative Torkelson is our chair over in the House. He's a former bonding chair from last session. And so just from a bonding perspective, we just they rolled out the bonding bill. I think it was yesterday, Representative Erdahl. That has about $200 million in it, just from the state bonding side, just out of raw projects. I think the transportation in total, I think it's looking at kind of meeting that need of over $6 billion over the next 10 years, and really looking at the ways to do that without raising taxes, which I think is important. Really using auto parts, so sale of auto parts, but for corridors of commerce, also looking at issues of funding from the short-term leases. So when you have rental cars, that 9.7% tax you pay on that, and then the sales tax as well. Those dollars are currently going into the general fund. I think a lot of folks would make the argument that should be definitely focused in towards the transportation funding stream. I'm working on a bill, too, that we're still trying to work some kinks out that I think would be a great addition. And that's the reality that whenever a local unit of government, the state itself, through lump sum contracts, when they're building a road, when they do a lump sum contract, that's when they take the labor and also the materials and they bid that project. And even though you'd think that we wouldn't pay sales tax on that, we do. And so we're still trying to work out, I think we're talking to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars that get paid in state tax generated through the gas tax, through the sales of gasoline, that gets refunded back into the sales tax system and then put back in the general fund. And we're working on other bills for the cities that do the same thing essentially for when they do sewer systems. That's currently in our tax bill, so that when a city puts in a new sewer system, when they're buying the pipes and the concrete to build the water infrastructure out, those cities are paying sales tax on that to the state. And when they're doing the roads, they're doing the same thing. And so, those are the basic building blocks of saying, from a tax perspective, how can we better adjust what we're doing when it comes to transportation? I think we're working towards that goal, and it's our hope that ultimately that can be a conversation we get to have.
Representative Hansen, your thoughts, transportation?
Well, I was trying to listen to the whole list of things where we're trying to pluck money from existing funds to add up to enough to meet the needs, and they don't. So, we're a growing state. Transportation is a major economic driver. I voted for a gas tax in the past. It's a user financing for the roads. We have to have transit. I don't, there's just ideology that comes through of an anti-transit mode, and overridden by a constant looking at tax cuts as policy. So we're trying to find pieces on a tax side in order to use those dollars for transportation. And that's not very transparent. We're picking a piece of dollars here and there and to try to fund. This is what happened in the early 2000s. This is what drove us with transportation. Back then, it got put on the credit card. And when it got put on the credit card, then it had to get paid off. I guess it's now, I thought it was conservative to be doing user pays. I thought the pay-as-you-go was a way to be conservative. But we need dollars into the transportation system. And that transportation system is roads, bridges, transit, and also water. Also the barge system, the river roads that we use to move product. We don't think about that very much, and that takes money as well. So this is, I think the governor said, it's a start, it's not a finish. And even if this passes, we're going to be back again because the needs aren't going to be met.
Well, listen, I was at the Minnesota Corn Growers event probably with everybody here, and they're fully in support of a 10-cent a gallon gas tax increase. And here's the issue. When you take revenue from the general fund, so those auto parts go into the general fund and the lease fees and whatnot, that's money that goes to fund other things right now, whether it's education, public safety needs, you name it, that's coming out. So that you have to replace that at some point. What is that going to be? Well, we do have to have a serious conversation about fuel efficiency and electric vehicles. They're still using the road, but they don't use gas, right? So that is also that concept. We have a mixed need of increased revenue. We are going to need to raise the gas tax, but we are also going to need to figure out what is that other fee, whether it's a tab fee, whether it's a mix, so that it's not like one's real high and there's nothing over here. I think we got to have a balanced approach. That is absolutely true. But to start making shifts into transportation, that's just not long-term viable for the entire state budget. And if you think about it, I mean, there's more people in the 7-county metro that are driving, that are going to be paying the gas tax, that go to build the highways in greater Minnesota where I grew up. That's just a stone cold fact. So why wouldn't you want to say, well, we need that revenue, we need our highways and bridges built, whether it's townships so that you don't have to haul your corn around 4 sections instead of just straight to the yard a quarter mile away. Those bridges exist out in our townships too. So we got to do better than just shifting money around from one part of the budget to the other. We actually got to solve this problem. I think Minnesotans expect us to do it. And sometimes that comes with the revenue raiser, and it's a hard decision for some people.
Senator Deems?
Well, I agree. We've got to come up with a long-term solution for transportation, and I think that's been looked at for some time. What I kind of find interesting is we hear the talk about we've got to find a long-term solution, and that's followed up, we need to raise gas tax. And if anybody's taken a strong look at gas tax, what happens is you put the gas tax, you raise that, and then you take a look. So you have the increase in tax, and in a very short time, that curve starts going back down again. So now you're back in, do we raise gas tax again? Do we raise gas tax again? This has been going on for years, and it's proving it does not solve our transportation issues. We've got to get something that is long-term. And there's a lot of debate about this. I respect people's opinions in their debate, but if you take a look at using the sales tax from parts and those that were originally in the transportation, and you put those sales tax revenues back in the transportation, they continually go up to help support the process. So does there need to be more than just one thing? Very likely there probably does. But we can't rely on gas tax like we've tried to do in the past, because that's a proven thing that it's not working. As far as the transportation bill, I think there's $372 million of money coming in, general fund money, into the transportation bill, and that would be then there'd be the GO and the trunk highway bonds on top of that to get that money that Chris was talking about. A couple of things that I like that they put in the bill is, in the bill for bridges, the maximum for a bridge that can come out of that fund is $7 million. And then after that, the bridges that are more than $7 million, then they would come out of bonding. And so one of the issues we have, if we have a major bridge that needs to be replaced, we can be looking at $100+ million. And that really eats up a large part of that transportation funding. So if we have a limit on the small bridges and then move the bigger bridges over to bonding and then do some serious bonding on those, I think that can help a lot too. So I think we've got a bill that's certainly, it's a little different than the bills we're used to in the past, but I do support the way we're looking at funding that. I think it's going to be a good bill. And quite frankly, we haven't had a transportation bill for many, many years. And I think that I feel fairly confident that we'll get a transportation bill put together this year.